Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gogopinath Shaimakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan ki jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Shri Mayapur Dhama ki jai. Jamuna Maya ki jai. Ganga Maya ki jai. Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Yuga Dharma Harinam Sankirtan Yagya ki jai. Priyat Mridanga Transcendental Book Distribution ki jai. Transcendental Krishna Prasadam Distribution ki jai. Go Premanandi. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga.
Hare Krishna. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Radha Kalashanji Dam's daily morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. Looks like we're running about 5 minutes late, so just a little heads up, we'll go to class till 8:35 today. And we're continuing our story with Prithu, speaking to the 4 Kumaras. The verses we're covering today is Canto 4, Chapter 22, verses 41 through 63. We'll focus on 52. And the topic for today is Everything Belongs to Krishna. Now let's act on it. So we have quite a few verses, and it's been mentioned that we don't have to read all the verses, but personally, I really like reading the story of Srimad Bhagavatam class. So I'll just ask that we read every verse, each person read 3 verses, and we just try to keep up the pace. I'll try to not talk too much between each verse. I think I can do that. Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Adira Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Shri Shri Radhamadava ki jai. Shri Shri Radhakala Sanji ki jai. Shri the Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Permanente. Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devyam Sarasvatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Rudiraya Nasta Preya Shavabreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamhasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Om Megantamarandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Jakshuranlitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. If we can all chant at Hare Krishna together, just really praying to Radhakala Shanji to let us be completely present right here and absorb the Srimad Bhagavatam in the most magnificent way. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you. Okay, so we're with Prithu Prabhu. He's talking to, Prithu Maharaj, and he's speaking to the Kumars. Quite a few times we've given the context of this, so I'm not going to even really go into the context. I think we're all pretty familiar with what's going on. So let's start with text 41. Can we go to the view with just verses view? If it's okay, Prabhu, please. Yeah, there we go. There we go, 41. And if we could, each person read 3 verses, please.
The great sage Maitreya continued, being thus enlightened in complete spiritual knowledge by the son of Brahma, one of the Kumaras who was complete in spiritual knowledge, the king worshipped them in the following words. The king said, O Brahmana, O powerful one, formerly Lord Vishnu showed me his causeless mercy, indicating that you would come to my house, and to confirm that blessing you have all come. My dear Brahmana, you have carried out the order thoroughly because you are also as compassionate as the Lord. It is my duty, therefore, to offer you something, but all I possess are but remnants of food taken by great saintly persons. What shall I give?
It's an interesting comment by Prithu Maharaj. He's the king of the world. He says, all I have is remnants of food offered or left by saintly people. So what does this mean? It means that Prithu Prabhu saying, or Prithu Maharaj is saying that, I was given this kingdom by the sages, right? When I was churned the body of Vena, I came here and everything was given to me. So what do I have to give back to you? It's already been offered. It's already not mine. So he says, okay, well, all I have is this stuff that's already been accepted by Brahmins. Okay, let's go to 44 through 46, please.
The king continued, therefore, my dear Brahmanas, my life, wife, children, home, furniture, and household paraphernalia, my kingdom, strength, land, and especially my treasury are all offered unto you. Since only a person who is completely educated according to the principles of Vedic knowledge deserves to be commander-in-chief, ruler of the state, the first to chastise, or the proprietor of the whole planet, Prithu Maharaj offered everything to the Kumaras. Are we doing 2?
One more, please.
The Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras eat their food by virtue of the Brahmanas' mercy. It is the Brahmanas who enjoy their own property, clothe themselves with their own property, and give charity with their own property.
So Srila Prabhupada mentions in this purport that the Brahmanas are giving the example to all the classes of people how to eat, what the proper way to behave is. And so this is what it means by the by food, eat their food by virtue of the Brahmana's mercy. Okay, let's go to 47 through 49.
Prithu Maharaj continued, how can such persons who have rendered unlimited service by explaining the path of self-realization in the relation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and whose explanations are given for our enlightenment with complete conviction and Vedic evidence, be repaid, except by folded palms containing water for their satisfaction? Such great personalities can be satisfied only by their own activities, which are distributed amongst human society out of their unlimited mercy. The great sage Maitreya continued, being thus worshipped by Maharaj Prithu, the 4 Kumaras, who were the masters of devotional service, became very pleased. Indeed, they appeared in the sky and praised the character of the king, and everyone observed them. Amongst the great personalities, Maharaj Prithu was achieved by virtue of his fixed position in relation to his spiritual enlightenment. He remained satisfied as one who has achieved all success in spiritual understanding.
So Srila Prabhupada mentions that in 48, the purport that the Kumaras, being such wonderful sages and in the sense of demigods, is that they float. They never even touch the earth. And then in 49, we understand that Prithu Maharaj is such a wonderful devotee that he can actually see them, whereas most people can't even see the great sages and demigods. Okay, 50 through 52.
Being self-satisfied, Maharaj Prithu executed his duties as perfectly as possible, according to the time and his situation, strength, and financial position. His only aim in all his activities was to satisfy the absolute truth. In this way, he duly acted. Maharaj Prithu completely dedicated himself to be an eternal servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, transcendental to material nature. Constantly, all the fruits of his activities were dedicated to the Lord, and he always thought of himself as the servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the proprietor of everything. Maharaj Prithu, who was very opulent due to the prosperity of his entire empire, remained at home as a householder. Since he was never inclined to utilize his opulences for the gratification of his senses, he remained unattached, exactly like the sun, which is unaffected in all circumstances.
So I'll speak about 50 through 52. We'll go back and read these, go a little bit deeper into them, or go deeper into them.
Being situated in the liberated position of devotional service, Prithu Maharaj not only performed all fruitive activities, but also begot 5 sons by his wife Archie. Indeed, all his sons were begotten according to his own desire. After begetting 5 sons named Viditashva, Dhumurakesha, Haryaksha, Dravina, and Vrika, Prithu Maharaj continued to rule the planet. He accepted all the qualities of the deities who governed all other planets. Since Maharaj Prithu was a perfect devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he wanted to protect the Lord's creation by pleasing the various citizens according to their various desires. Therefore, Prithu Maharaj used to please them in all respects by his words, mentality, works, and gentle behavior.
Maharaj Prithu became as celebrated king as Somaraj, the king of the moon. He was also powerful and exacting, just like the sun god, who distributes heat and light at the same time, exacts all the planetary waters. Maharaj Prithu was so strong and powerful that no one could disobey his orders. any more than one could conquer fire itself. He was so strong that he was compared to Indra, the king of the heaven, whose power is insuperable. On the other hand, Maharaj Prithu was also as tolerant as the earth, and in fulfilling various desires of the human society, he was like heaven itself. Just as rainfall satisfied everyone's desire, Maharaj Prithu used to satisfy everyone. He was like the sea, in that no one could understand his depths, and he was like Meru, the king of the hills, in the fixity of his purpose.
Maharaj Maharaj Prithu's intelligence and education were exactly like that of Yamaraj, the superintendent of death. His opulence was comparable to the Himalaya mountains, where all valuable jewels and metals are stocked. He possessed great riches like Kuvera, the treasurer of the heavenly planets, and no one could reveal his secrets, for they were like the demigod Varunas. In his bodily strength and in the strength of his senses, Maharaj Prithu was as strong as the wind, which can go anywhere and everywhere. As far as his intolerance was concerned, he was just like all-powerful Rudra, expansion of Lord Shiva or Sadashiv. In his bodily beauty, he was just like Cupid, and in his thoughtfulness, he was like a lion. Thoughtfulness like a lion. In his affection, he was just like Swayambhuva Manu, and in his ability to control, he was like Lord Brahma.
I feel like I should have mentioned before these verses that just really sit back and appreciate these characteristics and these opulences of Maharaj Prithu. They're absolutely beautiful. You just read them, he's like, wow.
In his personal behavior, Prithu Maharaj exhibit all good qualities, and in spiritual knowledge, he was exactly like Brihaspati. In self-control, he was like the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. As far as his devotional service was concerned, he was a great follower of devotees who were attached to cow protection and the rendering of all service to the spiritual master and the Brahmans. He was perfect in his shyness and in his gentle behavior, and when he engaged in some philanthropic activities, he works as if he were working for his own personal self. Throughout the whole universe, in the higher, lower, and middle planetary system, Prithu Maharaj's reputations were loudly declared, and all ladies and saintly persons hear his glories, which were as sweet as the glories of Lord Ramchandra.
Okay, so we'll go to 52. And so my question is, are you guys ready to hear how you can have all the opulences of Maharaj Prithu too? Oh no, Nandabraja, we don't want those. No, you already have them. They're yours. They're just, as devotees, we're not desiring these things, but as devotees, all these good qualities are there. And so they emerge as we become more and more in line with Krishna's will. Okay, 52. Greshu Vartmanopi. Greshu Vartmanopi. Sa Samraja Shriyanvitaha. Sa Samraja Shriyanvitaha. Nasa Jantindriyat Arteshu. Nasa Jatindriya Arteshu. Nirhamatir Arkatvat. Nirhamatir Arkavat. Bolo, please. Veshu Vartmanopi. Samraja Saryanvitaha Nasa Jantrindriyatashu Nirhamatir Arkavat Veshu Varat Manopi Sa Samraja Saryanvitaha Nasa Jandindriyarteshu Nirhamatir Arkavat Veshu Vartmanopi Sa Samraja Sriyanvitaha Nasa Jandindriyateshu Nirhamatir Arkavat. Word by word, together please. Greshu, at home, Varat Manaha, being present, Api, although, Saha, King Prithu, Samaraja, the entire empire, Sriya, opulence, Anvitaha, being absorbed in, Na, never, Asyata, became attracted, Indra Arteshu, for sense gratification, Nihi, nor, Aham, I am, Mati, consideration, Arka, the sun, Vat, like. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Maharaj Prithu, who was very opulent due to the prosperity of his entire empire, remained at home as a householder. Since he was never inclined to utilize his opulence for the gratifications of his senses, he remained unattached, exactly like the sun, which is unaffected in all circumstances. Purport. The word Greheshu is significant in this verse. Out of the 4 ashrams, the Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas, only a Grihastha or householder is allowed to associate with women. Therefore, the Grihastha ashram is a kind of a license for sense gratification given to the devotee. Prithu Maharaj was special in that although he was given license to remain a householder, and although he possessed immense opulences in his kingdom, he never engaged in sense gratification. This was a special sign that indicated him to be a pure devotee of the Lord. A pure devotee is never attracted by sense gratification, and consequently he is liberated. In material life, a person engages in sense gratification for his own personal satisfaction. But in the devotional or liberated life, one aims to satisfy the senses of the Lord. In this verse, Maharaj Prithu is likened to the sun, Arkavat. Sometimes the sun shines on stool, urine, and so many other polluted things. Yuck! But since the sun is all powerful, it is never affected by the polluted things with which it associates. On the contrary, the sunshine sterilizes and purifies polluted and dirty places. Similarly, a devotee may engage in so many material activities because he has no desire for sense gratification, but because he has no desire for sense gratification, they never affect him. On the contrary, he dovetails all material activities for the service of the Lord. Since the pure devotee knows how to utilize everything for the Lord's service, he is never affected by material activities. Instead, by his transcendental plans, he purifies such activities. This is described in the Bhakti Rasaram Sindhu. Sarvapadi vanira mukhitam tat paratantvena nirmalam. His aim is to become completely purified in the service of the Lord without being affected by material designations. This part right here really hit me. Instead, by his transcendental plans, he purifies such activities. It's pretty interesting for me because I think about how we make so many plans, right? We're making so many plans about what our day is going to be like, or what our week's like, what our kids are going to be like, what our house is going to be like, what our marriage is going to be like, what is our job going to be like, right? We're making so many plans all the time. But the pure devotee, he's making transcendental plans. So what makes it transcendental? Yes, Antari. He's devoting the fruits to the Lord. He's thinking about how he's going to make these things nice for the Lord's worship or the Lord's pleasure, right? We heard Srila Prabhupada before talk about sense gratification. The Grihastha ashram is a license for sense gratification. I've been in the Grihastha ashram for 20 years, and I would maybe argue that a little bit. No, just kidding. Because there's so many difficulties in the Grihastha ashram, right? So, but, okay. Through the Vedic understanding, we're understanding that we get to enjoy our kids, we get to enjoy our relationship with our partners, and that's very nice, right? But the point is that we become more entangled if it's just for our sense gratification. These things become entangling, and we become too attached, and then we can't see the goal of life. So, we must make transcendental plans to understand how our Grihastha life, or our life in general, is being given to Krishna through our fruits and through all of our understanding. How am I doing this in a way that's going to please Krishna? So I thought Srila Prabhupada really gives a couple really nice examples how to make this arrangement. If we can go to text 50. And we'll go to the purport in the first paragraph. And it's kind of the middle way, where it says, it starts with a sentence, Prithu Maharaj, a little bit up. It's in the first paragraph, right, a little bit down. A little bit more, right there. Prithu Maharaj, there you go, you got it perfect. Okay, can somebody read this sentence right here, Prithu Maharaj, activities? Somebody have the mic? You can. It's actually the 2 sentences, the 3 sentences, the rest of the paragraph. Let's do that. It's such a good, nice purport.
Prithu Maharaj's activities were therefore not ordinary, but were all spiritual and transcendental, for his aim was to satisfy the Lord. Just as Arjuna, who was a warrior, had to fight to satisfy Krishna.
What's that? Oh, would you mind, is it possible, because it's different than this, and it really threw me off. I was like, wait a minute, what? I'm sorry, thank you.
Prithu Maharaj's activities were not ordinary, for they were in relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srila Rupa Goswami has advised that things which are favorable to devotional service should not be rejected, nor should activity favorable for devotional service be considered ordinary work or fruitive activity. Continue?
Yes, please.
For example, an ordinary worker conducts business in order to earn money for his sense gratification. A devotee may perform the same work in exactly the same way, but his aim is to satisfy the Supreme Lord. Consequently, his activities are not ordinary.
I'll read just the first sentence. Prithu Maharaj's activities were therefore not ordinary, but were all spiritual and transcendental, for his aim was to satisfy the Lord. So I don't know if you guys remember last week's class was about, where we wrote down 3 things, right? What were those 3 things? First thing was, in our personal life, for ourselves, what was it that we need to do? What is it that we like to do that gives us upliftment, right? And then the second thing was, what is that thing that we like to do to serve others? And the third thing was, what in our sadhana, our daily bhakti yoga practices, bhakti sadhana, do we want to improve on, right? So I thought it was interesting that this gets brought up, because I was like, oh, wow, Krishna, you're so kind. It's like a nice, easy thing. So we can understand that our situation is that we can also give everything that we're doing and not be ordinary workers, right? We can give everything to Krishna. We don't have to be working an ordinary life, right? We can be living a life where internally we're always thinking of Krishna and how that we're making this nice for Krishna. Can we turn to 51, please? Absolutely. Go ahead.
In verse 50, the Sanskrit words that are being translated, yata kalam, befitting time and circumstances. Yata desham, befitting the place and situation. And he keeps using yata, befitting one's own strength. Yata as possible. Yata as far as one can spend money in this connection. So yata is like befitting. What is appropriate is in the translation is like, Prithu executed his duties as perfectly as possible. Not saying that it was perfect execution, but as perfectly as he could, according to time and his situation. And I think that's just like a very important thing to remember, that this glorious person is being highlighted for his devotional service, but it doesn't say that he was doing it perfectly. It was just according to his own means.
Yeah, I appreciate this. I was thinking too that when I was reading this, that it says his situation, strength, and financial position. Strength is one of the 6 opulences that we understand that Krishna has as the all attractive. And sometimes you'll see Srila Prabhupada translate strength as influence. It's really interesting, right? Because we think of strong, we think of, lifting lots of weights or lifting a mountain, right? But also this means strength in influencing others, right? Krishna's the ultimate influencer. And, right? And he does it in so many ways. So our strength can be, as mentioned here, about how are we influenced by our devotional service and how are we influencing others, right? And how are we influencing that, well, yes, like I said right there. So yeah, very nice point. Thank you. You have something else you want to say?
Yeah, that's just like the way it concluded as well. In this way, he duly acted. He didn't act duly or in a satisfying way to the Lord because he did everything perfectly according to like another devotee's opinion. Maharaj Prithu did the best that he could according to his time, his situation, his strength and financial position. And what made it perfect or was possible was that his only aim was to satisfy the absolute truth. And that's just for me, that's just like a very ideal example to remember if I ever start doubting myself, because we speak about that often in these Bhagavatam classes of our devotion, maybe not meeting up to the next devotee or the examples that are given in the scriptures. But this right here, it feels very humbling and reassuring that as long as if I can just remember to aim my activities to satisfy the absolute truth, then I should be fine.
Is in the material world, it's only perfect because Krishna's there, right? But actually it's just full of bad qualities, right? So we can get frustrated in that. My point is we can get frustrated in that and thinking, gosh, I want to make my offering perfect. But you're mentioning, as long as our attitude is there that we're doing our best and doing it as most favorable as possible, then Krishna's very pleased and it's perfect. So I appreciate that, Antari. Thank you. On 51, I'm trying to figure out how to explain this without going the whole purport, but I tell you what, I really recommend reading this purport because Srila Prabhupada talks about karma yoga. And he speaks about karma yoga often in a way that we don't hear. So just after Sarvana Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam, he has the Sanskrit. There's a sentence right here, and I'll just go off of it. Okay, just after this, right? These methods of karma yoga and bhakti yoga are being broadcast all over the world by the International Society of Krishna Consciousness. Anyone can learn these methods simply by following the examples of members of the society. Srila Prabhupada, before this, and he explains how karma yoga is especially easy for the householder, and they can take the fruits of their activities and offer them to Krishna. And this is the perfection of life. And I thought when I was reading this, I was like, sometimes as devotees, we put our nose up in the air at karma yoga, right? We want bhakti yoga, you know. But in this purport, go ahead and read it on your own. But Srila Prabhupada is really putting karma yoga on such a high platform that it's actually part of our practice as the International Society of Krishna Consciousness. So I was thinking about how, you know, that our karma yoga being dovetailed to Krishna is a bhakti yoga, right? Its purpose is to please Krishna, and therefore it is a form of bhakti yoga. I had somebody the other day ask me if we practice mixed bhakti, and I was like, "What are you what's mixed bhakti?" It really threw me off because I was like, "Mixed bhakti?" And so actually, it hit me when I was reading this that you know that when we're not quite up to the pure level of bhakti, we are doing mixed bhakti in a sense that we're doing karma yoga, jnana yoga, bhakti yoga, sadhana bhakti, right? All of these different things we're coming to use to come up to the platform of pure devotional service. So we'll start with questions, but before I get there, what I'd like you to do is take a minute to think about your life in the sense of the things that you're doing, your activities, your service that you're doing. And is there something in your life that you're doing that you would like to feel more connection with Krishna? Shri Shri Radha Kalashanji Ki Jai. If you have a piece of paper, we'll take two minutes to do this. So the activity is, what is it in your life that you do regularly? How would you like to connect it more to Krishna? And how can you do that based on the things that we talked about today, hopefully? We'll give that a minute, and then we'll talk about it and see if we can gather some inspiration or some motivation by hearing from others about how we can see more the activities that we're doing regularly as service to Krishna. The question is, or the activity is, to write down something that you do regular in your life, and you'd like to see it more connected to Krishna. You'd like to connect it to Krishna more. So what is that activity that you're doing regularly, and how might you find ways to connect it more to Krishna, or get you in an attitude, a better attitude that it's your service to Krishna? Try to think outside the box, by the way. You know, we have so many wonderful ways that we try to get in that mindset, you know. But I'm thinking maybe there's some things that we can do that are kind of outside the box, like you might have personally, like, oh, this gets me into the right mood of devotional service. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Anybody have something they want to share? Something they do regularly, like to connect more with Krishna? What's something they can do practically in their life to see that connection more with Krishna? Vishnu? Jaishnav, you have something? Yes.
I don't know if this is outside of the box, but something that I do daily is I consider my own plans in decision making for self-preservation. And the context of self is kind of like Atma in Sanskrit. It could mean the mind, the bodies, and the activities that are taking place in this material world when I say self-preservation. Because I know my true self is eternal, Satchitananda, like Krishna. But yeah, that's what I'm doing daily. And myself, these are often, I do things dedicated to Krishna for his mercy to be like extracted from this material cycle. But not all the time I am depending on Krishna. It's like I'm making my own decision, what I think is best. And yeah, I guess, am I supposed to give what a solution is, or could you offer one?
No, please give a solution. I'm curious, when you say self-preservation, what is an activity that looks like self-preservation?
I go to temple every morning.
Okay.
And that's preserving my goal of like meeting Krishna's mercy to be extracted from this material cycle.
Antari, this is really nice. I appreciate your self-preservation. So I go to the temple regularly to keep my preservation that myself is a spirit soul. I'm a devotee, so this is something I do regularly. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
Yes.
Wow. It's a very nice thought process. Okay, what is the practical thing that can help you dive more into that is for Krishna?
That's what I was considering. Like, I feel like I do this sometimes. You get in a habit here in the material world and you just do things regularly, like a routine. And you may be like, for me, it's like I feel that it's an opportunity missed when we get into habits to like dialogue with Krishna. Is this what you want to do? Is this where I should go?
You're really hitting the nail on the head. This is what the essence of this activity is what am I doing that are rituals that I say maybe behind myself, oh, I do that for Krishna, oh, I do that for Krishna. But you do it with so much unconsciousness that are you really doing it for Krishna? Yes, probably to a certain degree. But could you put a few things in your life to help you even gain more understanding that's for Krishna, or help you to even more, take you to the next level of realizing I'm doing this for Krishna? I'm not going to go into solutions. I'm going to do, if you don't mind, maybe there'll be a solution that somebody will say and go, oh, I could do that too. Anybody else have any things that they do that they would like to do, they do regularly and would like to see more connected to Krishna? Yes, Ajit Prabhu.
Something I do regularly, or you could say my mind does regularly, is just planning for the future. And I feel like it's not enough connected, like me, and I'm going to decide how. Maybe a solution would be to just kind of take things a day at a time. Be grateful for what I have, and just trust and have faith that Krishna is arranging everything perfectly.
Okay, so regularly your mind's wanting to plan for the future. Sometimes when it's inconvenient. That's what I'm guessing. Because sometimes we need to plan for the future, right? So the mind's doing it sometimes when it's inconvenient, where you're wanting to engage fully in activity.
I feel like it's like mode of passion that you always need to change. Like there's not any need for change.
What's your solution?
Like I said, just to be more present, live a day at a time, just pray to Krishna. But I'm open to suggestions also.
Anybody have any suggestions for Ajit and a passionate mind that wants to plan for the future? Krishna Priya Prabhu.
I'm just referring back to what you were saying in the class, that King Prithu Maharaj was planning. He was using his strength, his time, circumstance, ability, and he was using all his ability to plan, make transcendental plans. So I thought that was a nice connection between what you're saying and what the verse is all about.
This is a really good point. so planning's not, like I kind of mentioned in a sense, planning's not bad. One of the things that I was thinking about is spending part of your day planning, and then you can tell your mind like, hey, by the way, we have time we plan, right? Or give yourself a time of the week to plan for the 10 years from the point being is if your mind, which is this vehicle, is wanting something, maybe instead of starving it, we start to do it in a way that's giving it what it needs in a way that's palatable. And then we can tell it, oh, mind, I understand you want to plan right now, but right now it's time to chant. You know when we can plan? On Monday at 8 o'clock. Anyways, like, that's when we plan, basically. And it'll go, oh, you're right. Okay, fine. That's okay. What it's doing is saying, oh my God, we got to take care of this, right? It's like a check engine light on your car, saying that there's something that we need to figure out here. I want to be careful there in the sense of like that we don't get overly ambitious in this, like oh my gosh, that everything my mind says I have to plan about and stuff like that. This is a way that you can ease the mind and say, hey, we have time we plan and we have time we chant. We have time we do Srimad Bhagavatam, we have time we plan. And I'll give you that time, but you need to help me by focusing on what we're doing right now. Any other suggestions or comments or situations that you want to purify and have any plans for it? Here's something I was thinking is that how about before we do something, we take 1 minute, 2 minutes just to chant 10 mantras. Like I actually plan it in my day that before I cook, I'm going to chant 2 deep Maha mantras, just begging Krishna, I'm going to do this cooking, and I need you really to help me. I really want to be in a mindset, this is for you, Or one thing we can do as parents, and you can see how to do this in any way of life, is one thing I heard is one family, when their children bring home homework that they got graded, they put it on the altar. Like even your graded papers, given to Krishna. So these are things that we do normally that can help us to think more deeply about that it's for Krishna, and we can transcendentally plan. We can say, I'm not gonna be so passionate in my life or in the mode of ignorance that I'm just gonna do. I'm gonna give myself a gap where I can chant a half a round and go, okay, there's this book called Full Engagement, very recommended book, and it talks about how we should plan our day in energy, not in time. And so it says, okay, if you're social energy, you're using your social energy with friends and stuff like that, then okay, maybe sometimes that's filling and sometimes it's draining, right? Because maybe we have a friend that's having a tough time and they need us to be fully present, and we're giving right now. We're going to give it, and you go after it and go, inside you might be like, oh, that was so nice that I got to be there for my friend, but energy-wise you're drained. So then what is that next thing that you're going to do? Well, you could be, oh, I'm going to chant 2 rounds. Go back to Krishna and say, hey, Krishna, that was for you. That was the time I was giving, and I really could use some help right now, and I got this left to do. If you think about that, and you can do it mentally. I'm going to be studying for an hour for my education, and I know that it's going to be a little bit draining mentally. So you give yourself 10 more minutes after that. You plan it. Say, okay, I'm going to chant 2 rounds, and I'm going to really pray to Krishna to help us. Or I know 10 minutes, I'm going to go do a walk. I'm going to go walk in nature after that 10 minutes. And that's something that's really going to enliven me. Why? So that I can show up at the next thing for Krishna even more and do it again and again and again. If we start to think like this and have transcendental plans, we can understand that Krishna's giving us everything like Prithu Maharaj. That was my comment. Are you ready to have everything like Prithu Maharaj? We don't want things, right? But Krishna's wanting to give us everything. He wants us to give us so much, but we're being misers. And we should be very liberal that everything is Krishna's energy and we can use it for his service in a magnificent way and share it with others. We got 3 more minutes. we'll put the activity off to the side. Is there any other comments or questions about class or what we spoke about? Yes, Antari Prabhu.
So I'm thinking about decision making again, because we have sadhu, shastra, and guru to refer to.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that's meant. I guess it's meant there to be so you don't have to rely on your own decision making.
Mm.
So in communities, is there a designated person? Because like, what if is in the shastras there isn't like something, I don't know. How do you pick where to go?
When I get ready for class, I probably have about 20 things that I want to talk about, but I only pick a couple, you know. And this is actually one thing that I really thought was important is that we really need to have a local mentor where we're practicing Krishna consciousness. And I say that because, one thing I've experienced it, and it says it in the Nectar of Instruction, that when you live in a holy dham, you don't just hang out. You find the sadhus there that can help you to increase your service in that place. So I'll tell, in my experience, I was here for about a year in Dallas, and I was having a tough time because there was this project that I was working on that was really wonderful, and I thought that that's why Krishna brought here. I was going to do this project, and it fell apart in a nasty way. And I'm saying that a little dramatic, but it really devastated me because I was like, why am I here? What am I doing? I mean, obviously in the back of the mind I was here for my kids and my family and stuff like that. But it's not enough in the sense of we need to know our purpose, right? So I went to Nityananda Prabhu, our retired temple president, and I said, hey, I need help. I don't know, I don't know why I'm here. Don't know what to do. I'm lost. Help me. And he was like, okay. So my experience was that he showed me the mood of Radha Kalashanji Dham. He showed me the mood of Radha Kalashanji, who I am in this place, and how to serve, and how to traverse the holy dham. When we walk through the holy dham, we need to take steps. We need I need to, bypass that. And there's stuff going on in the holy dham that we need to learn to bypass. And we can have a mentor that says, you know what? That thing or that person, I don't think that they really are jiving with your mood and stuff. So you might want to just go do this different thing. The point being, what I'm trying to say is that when you have somebody locally that understands the environment that we're in, they can help you traverse. And I was actually thinking, this is a really something that's devastating in our community is that we don't have a formal mentor program. That we should have people that are trained in mentorship and that they should be able to help people. And this is something that we really should think about as a community, because we're very much shorthanding people that are coming to our community brand new by not giving them understanding of how to walk, how to traverse Radha Kalashanji Dham. So, as far as your question in the sense that, I'm sorry, anyways, is there somebody local? Yeah, we have a temple president that can, Shri Shri Radha Kalashanji Dham, or Shri Shri Radha Kalashanji Ki Jai. We have a temple president, and he's very busy, so sometimes he can't get everybody the personal attention they want, or need, excuse me, I shouldn't say want, need. Anyways, we can talk about it more on a personal level, because unfortunately we don't have a situation where we can go, hey, you come to this person. We should think about having a pastoral counselor that's on for a few hours a day, each day, where any devotee can walk in and go, hey, I need some help here, in my opinion, which is sometimes not worth much, most of the time not worth much. But anyways, I shouldn't have said that. Any other comments, thoughts? Okay, that's 8:37, 2 minutes over. before we end, did anybody do homework last week where they scheduled? And did anybody schedule the things that they were working on last week about the individual thing? Yeah? Raise your hand if you scheduled it. Raise your hand if you did it. You didn't schedule it, but you did it? No, Manjari Gopika. You didn't schedule it, but you did. Was it already scheduled in your life? Like, okay. Just a little, if you don't schedule it, the likelihood is very little that you'll do it. You know? And that's what I was thinking. I was like, your success is in that you schedule, you know what I mean? And not that, anyways, but if you don't, so in the same way, here, if you're thinking about the things that you want to do to deepen your Krishna consciousness, and you know some things, or figuring out some things that you can do, if you don't schedule it, it's not going to happen. You like literally have to, give some time to it, or it will just be something that we talk about in Srimad Bhagavatam, and it goes in the ether. Whoop, there it goes. Always schedule more time than you think, and then schedule the time that you need to decompress, to give yourself some time to breathe. And just keep practice. Okay, wait. So you're saying in your situation you schedule too much? Always put more time than you think it's going to be. And then at the end of the day, see your mistakes. And mistakes are not, sometimes we hear mistakes and, I don't want to see my failures. They're not failures. It's actually an opportunity just to understand more. Okay, this thing took me 2 hours and I only thought it was an hour. Okay, next time you schedule that thing, how many hours are you going to give it? Are you going to go, are you going to do this? No, I can actually do it in an hour. Do you do that too? Like, I know it took it 2 hours, but next time I do it, I'm going to do it in an hour. No, you should just give yourself 2 hours, and then when you only do it in an hour and a half, then you use that time to you'll fill it, because it's your nature, right? Is to fill that time. So it will, if you have, my point being is if you get done early, you're not Tulsi Saki's not going to fall into Maya. You're going to do something that's productive. You see what I'm saying? Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Brahmande Hari Hari Bol. Vanchika Patarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo.